This is WFYI News Now. It's July 15th, and I'm Abriana Herron. On today's show, how Indiana is cutting $2 billion from the new state budget. State lawmakers and the ACLU of Indiana rally in support of transgender youth. And Indiana has ended more than a dozen education programs that served low-income and minority students.
It cannot be denied that these steps are detrimental to the interest and well-being of at-risk students of all races, stripes, and creeds.
Those stories coming up, but first. Hundreds of women donated breast tissue in Indianapolis over the weekend. The event is one of several this week leading up to the WNBA All-Star Game. Samantha Horton reports the organizers hope to empower women and encourage those from underrepresented groups to participate.
The WNBA All-Star 2025 Host Committee and the IU Simon Comprehensive Cancer Center's Komen Tissue Bank partnered for what was called the All-Star Cure. The tissue bank is the only one of its kind in the world that collects healthy breast tissue for medical research, according to IU. Black and white women are diagnosed with breast cancer at about the same rate, but Black women have a 40% higher rate of dying. Participant and volunteer Jessica Young says being a woman of color, it was especially important to her to donate.
If I don't stand up and do something, then, how can I complain, later?
Event organizers say they were just short of reaching their goal of collecting 500 samples over the course of the weekend. I'm Samantha Horton.
The state of Indiana will close the books on its previous state budget Tuesday. 2 years ago, the state finished its budget cycle with $3 billion in one-time spending and nearly $3 billion in reserve. Several listeners wanted to know how the state went from that to cutting $2 billion from the new state budget. Brandon Smith explains.
Indiana Fiscal Policy Institute President Stephanie Wells says one of the biggest reasons Indiana's budget picture was so good 2 years ago is that the state received a lot of federal money via COVID relief funding. She says that's an anomaly.
That money went away, and we were spending a fair amount of dollars that we weren't used to getting.
And Wells says as lawmakers built the new budget, the economic picture was far less rosy, driven by uncertainty about federal policies.
It is still more money than, in the last budget, but it is less new money than what we thought prior to the end of last year.
Lawmakers did spend down some of the budget reserves to slightly lessen the amount of money they had to cut out of the budget. I'm Brandon Smith at the State House.
State lawmakers and the ACLU of Indiana rallied at the Indiana State House Saturday in support of transgender youth. Lauren Chapman reports the demonstration focused on how to get involved in the legislative process.
Republican State Representative Ed Clear has been a vocal supporter of LGBTQ Hoosiers. He was the only Republican vote against Indiana's 2011 attempt to add a constitutional same-sex marriage ban. Clear says he wants transgender Hoosiers to know they have conservative allies.
Transgender people are under attack here in Indiana and all across the country because, to put it bluntly, gay people aren't scary enough anymore.
Clear says anti-LGBTQ advocates needed a new boogeyman and chose transgender people, but he sees a path forward.
Next year's legislative session, in effect, at least in some sense, started the day after this year's legislative session adjourned.
Clear encourages Hoosiers to start talking to their lawmakers now, long before bills are introduced for 2026. I'm Lauren Chapman.
And for our final story today, Indiana has ended more than a dozen education programs that served low-income and minority students. The cuts are the result of Governor Mike Braun's executive order to eliminate diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives. Eric Weddle has more.
The Braun administration has ended a program focused on scholarship outreach for Latino students and eliminated several initiatives to support programs for first-generation and Black college students. Mark Russell with the Indianapolis Urban League says those cuts will hit students already facing steep barriers.
It cannot be denied that these steps are detrimental to the interest and well-being of at-risk students of all races, stripes, and creeds.
The state has also removed equity-related language from K-12 academic standards as part of the campaign to eliminate DEI. I'm Eric Weddle.
That's all for today's episode of WFYI News Now. Our podcast is produced by Drew Daudelin and Zach Bundy, with support from the news team at WFYI and public media journalists across the state. Our news director is Sarah Neal-Estes. Kendall Antron produced our music, and I'm your host, Abriana Herron. If you like today's episode, remember to subscribe and share, and follow WFYI on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube to check in on our newsroom throughout the day. Thanks for listening. We'll be back tomorrow.